Monster Hunter World had a massive resurgence recently, probably because of this guy, I'm not sure. But I don't really care about that because I wanted to finally try this game out, and I would eventually regret doing so. But if there's one thing I love in life, it's turning endangered animals into cool hats, like in Dauntless. You guys remember Dauntless, right? So join me in the journey to beat Monster Hunter World in this review experience critique, funny moments. First, we create our Monster Hunter World. I made a cosplay of a gentleman who is quite respectable and has never done anything wrong, ever. From there, I got myself a little cat buddy. Isn't he cute, guys? Oh my god, he's dead. And this woman won't stop screaming to me. Will she always be this annoying? The ship we were on was attacked by some big volcano monster, so we must escape by climbing on his back and grappling hooking some weird bird thing. But now we've escaped, we can finally enter this, the Monster Hunter's World Iceborne Deluxe Edition. This is a semi-open world where we can partake in a little bit of silliness, but right now we need a weapon. So no humorous activities can commence until we find the research base and get geared up. So we'll need to trek through the forest, but as always, it's never that simple. May I introduce the Vorman?
Furry inflation.
Just as all seems lost, Matthew Mercer, famous voice actor and D&D player, comes to the rescue. Not that we need him, because this massive T-Rex comes through and third parties the whole fight anyway, but I'll take what I can get, frankly. I love Matt Mercer. And then we escape to the base. This is the general hub world, and as we're getting the tour, we get the greatest plot twist of all time. Lil J lives. Now we get told that we need to investigate the forest and the populations of monsters within. I'm just gonna let you know, this game has like basically no plot. I mean, look at the characters' names. They don't have any. No one in this game has a name, even in the credits. But then again, if you came to Monster Hunter looking for a good plot, you came for the wrong reasons. Now, this game is all about the progression, the loot, and the hats. The gameplay of this game is to hunt monster, harvest its skin and bone, and make cool gear out of it to hunt the next monster with. I know that may not sound great right now, but trust me, this game goes to 11 pretty fast. And finally, in the hub, we can craft and upgrade our gear at the smith, eat food from the buff Catman for buffs like health and damage. We can buy gear and accept quests and bounties. Now that's out of the way, we are finished with the tutorial and we can finally play the game. And it was only an hour long. Welcome to the real ancient forest. We have some exterminating to do. Here we can find a multitude of flora and fauna. You can collect herbs and honey to make the very strongest of potions, which we're gonna need in order to hunt our first monsters, the Jaguars, aka the New York sewer rats of the Monster Hunter world. We're talking the lowest of the low here. We've basically been given janitor duty, but hey, in this economy, I'll take what I can get, okay? A man's gotta eat, and so does his silly little cat. This is basically the Little Caesars and a cup of water quest of the Monster Hunter world. It's literally as filler as quests get. But next, I got my own room and became Griffith, and I even changed my weapon. You see, I wasn't really messing with the great sword. All my homies love the long sword because it's fast. We got a promotion from sewer rats to street rats. Is this it, man? This is kind of disappointing.
Make some of that YouTube money, kid.
Pyrocynical jump. Alright boys, remember when I said earlier that the tutorial was ending? I lied. This is where the game actually starts. We get to hunt a real monster. This is some real monster hunting. That is, it would be if I wasn't so unused to the controls. Monster Hunter, it's got some clunk to it. Once you swing your weapon, you're kind of locked into that direction, and I still to this day don't get how this wheel thing works. Not to mention that your weapons go blunt over time, so if you don't sharpen them mid-hunt, you'll do less damage, and it basically becomes that one gag where the ghost tries to kill a guy with a spoon. Mind you, you can use a wide range of tools like shooting coconuts from a slingshot, or you can make some barbecues, so it's not all that bad. Now you may be wondering, if the gameplay is just fighting one boss for a whole mission, surely each match is pretty fast, right? No, on average, a hunt can take you 20 to 40 minutes. This is a long process. Usually, you have to find it, attack it, then chase it down when it runs away to another part of the map 3 times before it dies. You can also break off small parts of its body for more loot, meaning it is in fact optimal for you to inhumanely torture this animal for as long as possible so you can get a slightly bigger feather on your hat, which is absolutely awesome. Anyways, I killed him. The next mission we're given is to hunt a Kulayaka. Who makes these games, man? This guy's a birdman, and he uses a rock to bonk you with. His skin will make for an excellent carpet for my schoolroom. Some of you may recognize him as famous and upcoming video essayer Pack, in which case, good for you, man. Look at him. He thinks he can use tools. It's time to remind this bird why it is man that is made in the image of God and not him. Yeah, he was also pretty easy. Let's face it, these monsters we've been fighting so far, they've been pretty weak, alright. They can't handle me and my Chad sword. So we're gonna need something with a bit more kick. And speaking of kick, I'm gonna upgrade my weapon from the basic metal version to the domestic terrorism blade. Oh, perfect. That poison damage. What's an RPG/MMO game without a poison area / monster? And here he is, the Pookie. And I'm not trying to incriminate myself here, but that tongue, enough said. Also, the Great Vora and the Tongler randomly start fighting. Did I mention that whilst you track down monsters, or are even fighting them, other monsters on the map can pull up and third party you? It's surprisingly helpful most of the time, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, we kill them and we get glazed like crazy for it. So much so that it's already time to go to a new area, the Wildspire Waste. Is she still here? Oh my god. So then we have the best mission in the game. Follow this slow ass wagon. Oh, and there's an overleveled dragon.
Suck dick.
I tried to kill it, but then I ran away like a bitch because I figured out he was gonna beat my ass. Then we discovered the primordial egg. Except it's just a stone from the mountain, and there's a new monster attacking us. Whilst the handler's busy being useless, as per usual, it's up to us to beat some sense into him. And by sense, I mean a sword. But he's pretty hard-headed. Oh! His armor's pretty tough, but hey, wait, where you going, man? Ah, a monstrosity of unfathomable strength, I see. He tries to escape, we take chase, and oh, hey, there's a little cactus. Oh!
No, you can't kill me in a cool montage.
Bro, it's literally a J-Man video. I guess that's what the kids call a low dip. Then we have to sit through some random ass cutscene. I literally remember nothing about it, but afterwards we're tasked with yet another mission to find some nerd who went missing. Does anyone actually care about the story though? You guys are here for the monsters, right? Lil J has more impact, and I haven't spoken about him in the last 5 minutes. But what horrific creature could have left this man in such a broken state, leaving him a mere shell of his former self? Killer fish from San Diego. I ain't gonna lie, this fight just sucks. He just shoots sludge everywhere, then dies. I mean, it's a fish, what do you expect? Pretty uneventful. Except this is pretty cool. Oh, and this guy's gonna make us a premium pair of slippers. Next, we went back to the ancient forest for some reason. I hope you didn't get too attached to the Breaking Bad Mexico map because the main missions barely use it, so you won't see it for a while. We had to settle a score. You see, the T-Rex thing from the beginning of the game, he's pretty cringe. He's actually been interrupting a lot of my hunts, and generally, he just sort of shows up all the time and ruins the fun. So we had to run hands with him and show him whose world this is. And spoiler, it's monster hunters. So it's time to settle the... Oh, wait. I have to kill the scroll thing first. He's like electric and he's pretty annoying. You know, he's small and twitchy. I don't like him.
Does it hurt? I hope you choke! Stop it! No!
Thank you, Scroll, for a forgettable experience. I will promptly forget you existed in the next 2 hunts. But now it's time to finish off the apex predator of the ancient forest. We've worked our way through the food chain and now we've reached the top, the Anjamfa. Basically a T-Rex that shoots fire. He's our final test to make sure we can go from the forest into the later game areas and tests us on our knowledge of combat, items and environments. He does more damage than the previous monsters and he's way more aggressive. So let's get him.
Come on!
Nah, I'd win. Remember that armor I picked at the start of the game? Well, it turns out that this is the updated starting armor for people who got the DLC and wanted to start earlier. So it has naturally stacked stats. I didn't know this, and the game literally tells you it's the recommended armor set. So yeah, I was taking literally no damage. Let me put it like this. The armor you get from this guy has a base defense of 20, whereas the armor I was wearing was 50 each. Yeah, no wonder I've been breezing through the monsters. If you try and play this game, I highly recommend not using this armor because it basically means you can never die early on, like ever. Plus, it means you never need to grind for armor ever and only weapons, which is what I did and why I'm sort of breezing through this section of the game. I felt no need to do side quests to get new armor. But still, even if it was all worse, there's some good drip here. Don't worry though, I take it off later. But for now, I use this armor to gain a massive advantage over this guy. And with that, ladies and gentle goons, I have conquered Monster Hunter World. Wait, why is there so much video left? Somehow, The mountain man returned. Zora Magdaros. Did you forget about it? Don't worry. So did I when the NPCs were telling me how he'd come to destroy the base. So now we have to set up an ambush to absolutely game end this snapping turtle looking fella. He is the main antagonist of the game after all. Yes, the rock with legs is the main villain. So how do we go about fighting something so gigantic, so enormous, so majestic? Don't worry. For the next 30 minutes, we'll be loading and shooting cannons, hitting rocks, and climbing walls. It's peak gameplay. Oh yes. Eventually we wear him down after about 20 minutes. It seems like Zora Magdaros is weak enough for the super happy fun squad to restrain him. But then this absolute rat comes down. Nergigante, one of the hardest enemies in the game, and for some reason Zora Magdaros' biggest meat rider, because this guy shows up to protect him every time, and he's no joke. He does big damage and he's super aggressive, and this is him in his weakest form. Keep an eye out for this guy as the game progresses. He only tortures me more and more each time. We gank the ever-living hell out of him and he leaves, which is reasonable. I'd hate that too. But Zora Magdaros also manages to get away. Yes, I lied. This was in fact not the final boss of the game.
You got me.
My face when I spread false information online. Regardless, that means we now get to enjoy more overly edited wacky shenanigans, and we can do this because there is in fact not just one, two new areas in Hubba. I don't care what you guys say, you get it. Now these two new areas are pretty heavily connected, being the Coral Highlands, which is a super cool epic gamer zone, and the Rotten Vale, which is the obligatory blight town that every game needs, complete with poison gases and massive bugs. Yeah, it sucks down here. Not to mention, we get introduced to a wide variety of new monsters to hunt, from this puffy squirrel to this one asshole who will just run up to you mid-fight, then flashbang you, to then run away because he loves to mess with people. And this big bone guy that is very frustrating to fight. Is this guy a famous British rock group formed in 1962? Because I swear, he's the Rolling Stone. I'll leave. He also took me like an hour to find because you just get told to explore the Rotten Vale, not fight or find the ravioli. And he's hiding under this small ass pile of bones. So yeah, I was very annoyed by the time I found him. But after completing the expedition for both areas, oh yeah, an expedition is where you just explore the area. Regardless, we're going to have to fight the two primary monsters of each area. The Lagania in the Coral Highlands and the Odogaron for the Rotten Vale. I hate this thing with a passion. But we'll get to that. The Lagana. The other one is the one you have to kill first, and it's honestly one of the cooler monsters in the game, using ice damage, and it's a dragon. And as a certified scaly, I like dragons. I'm not a scaly. I'm not that insane. Its design is cool. It's just a good fight overall, like almost every monster in the Coral Highlands, except for the paparazzi guy. I give him the highest rating I can. Nice gloves out of 10. The Odogaron, however, is perhaps one of the most annoying enemies in the entire game. Bro is top 2 for me. He does good damage, he moves super fast, and is constantly doing backflips, and in general is just extremely coked out and aggressive. Not to mention he has a status effect which he can randomly apply to you when hitting you, called critical state, where if you dodge or run around too much, you'll lose a chunk of health. And the only way you can lose this stat is to stay crouched and either stay still to heal it faster or move around to try and evade it. But then it's slower to recover, and it might hit you anyway. It's an interesting trade-off ruined by the fact I hate this guy and his entire evolutionary chain, and I want him gone. Its small size and maneuverability means it's a real bitch to fight, and I can't imagine how annoying he must be for someone like a hammer or greatsword user. You guys have my prayers.
Oh no, bro.
But you know for a fact, a monster this annoying, he's gonna have some good drip, and he does. So then I decided that my next mission would be to drive that species into extinction so I could get myself some new friends. But this would take a while, and a lot of hunting the same monster. So to break up the gratuity, I decided that I would, in fact, keep playing the main quest line as well, with only some of the armor. But that wasn't the only thing. I was getting tired of the Griffith fit as a whole, so for the next mission, I decided I was going to mix things up a bit. I started wearing the silly pumpkin layered armor, and the new weapon, the insect blade. An all around pretty weird weapon, but we can get into that when we get to that, alright? I still need to talk about all the weapons, but I'm probably not gonna, to be honest. I really liked the longsword. What can I say? Basically, the entire game is slow but big damage, or small damage but fast. And then in the middle ground, you got whiz stuff like the bows or the hunting horn that like 5 people use. Try them out, guys. Try them. Anyway, now that we finished those new areas, yeah, that's right, we've already done with them. Listen, there's a ton of side quests set there and stuff I haven't mentioned. I swear it isn't as weirdly paced as I make it seem. For the next missions, we have to revisit some old areas, the ancient forest and the Wildspire Waste. Now, like I said, this is the point in the game where it really starts to kick off and where the addiction really begins, because this is where we aren't going against any old monsters anymore. We're going against dragons. The Rathalos, the face of the Monster Hunter franchise. He's like Pikachu, if Pikachu could eat orphans. I love fighting this guy because he's constantly in the air. You have to use a grapple way more. And his tail, super satisfying to hit. He can inflict both fire and poison damage on you, so you have to come prepared. But I wasn't using my main weapon, so it was a bit of a struggle. He also has a command grab, dear god. The insect glaive, like I said, very weird weapon. It's a mixture of using bugs to do damage for you and doing kick flips around in the air to basically fly up to monsters. Pretty fun to use, but it feels much less effective compared to something like the longsword. It just feels off to me. Maybe because I had been so used to the cool anime AMV moments number 5 from the longsword instead. Went up on the top of the tree at the very end of the hunt for the Rathalos. There's actually an environmental hazard you can trigger. You can trigger it by having the Rathalos hit this embankment of water, causing a flash flood, which will completely miss him because he can fly. But hey, it was really cool when it happened. We put him down, steal his skin, and even take his children, because no one is safe from the J-Man, not even you. And now we just have to go to the Wildspire Waste to clean up the dragon there. But wait, it's looks maxing time. In between hunts, I finally got a full set from murdering a small family of those red dogs, and now we do be dripping and playing the content on level, baby, which means the real Monster Hunter World experience starts now. Each armor set provides different defenses to different damage types, as well as a unique bonus for having a certain amount of armor from the set. For instance, when sharpening my weapon, it now takes less time thanks to this set's bonus, and honestly, the drip is worth it. Let's just ignore the fact I'll take double damage from now on, but at least I know no one in the comments is gonna moan saying I played the game the wrong way. Instead, you're just gonna say how sexy and cool I am, right? Right? Wildspire Waste. Remember that hellish beast we saw demolish the Barroth a while back? Yeah, well, we gotta get him now. Something cool I learned here, though, is that you can use this net to pick up small creatures that you can put back in your room at base. And, oh, hey, we encounter a Barroth? Oh, it ate him. This is the Diablos' devious villain lair, and his design is sick, but just one problem, he kicks ass. Didn't help that my health was also a lot lower than I was used to, and to top it all off, see those horns he has? I couldn't break him at this point in the game because my weapon level was too low, so trying to hit his face was just not worth it as it would bounce off. Another weird quirk is that this guy digs through the ground like a mole, a lot more than he flies around with his wings. Why does he even have them? I mean, is he a fraud? Are they just super glued on so it could feel cool? What a joke. Basically, I almost failed this mission and was pissing myself when I was down to my last life, but he was messing with the J Dizzly and I hit him with my ultimate move, R2. And just like that, we had killed both the dragons of the ancient lands. So what's left? Well, remember that Zoro Magdaros guy, the mountain man? Well, he was sighted heading towards a volcano, and for some reason, he really feels like dying in that thing, which will effectively make the entire place explode, including us. So we gotta stop it. That's right. This is the final boss of the game. It's basically the same as last time, except with a small scenery change, and also you don't have to fight no Gigante. He just shows up and then he flies away after a while, which is pretty nice, and it allows me to truly savor the 30-minute boss fight that consists of hitting a rock and reloading cannons. But on the plus side, this big spike thing that does tons of damage. Just like that, after all the trials and tribulations, the optional quests and long-ass drawn-out segments, and pointless dialogue, Monster Hunter World is finally over.
It only took 40 years.
Until it wasn't.
We do a little trolling.
I mean, come on, you saw this coming, right? You can see the runtime. There's more to this. In fact, we haven't even started yet. See, there's actually a whole new difficulty of quests to start going on. We were on low rank, and now after defeating Zoro Magdaros, we are finally in high rank with its own gear levels and new monsters. And the storyline isn't done. Oh my god, all of that was the tutorial. Does this game ever end? So basically, I farmed this armor for no reason because it's now even more useless than keeping the old stuff. And I'm pretty much gonna immediately replace it. But what does high rank entail, you may ask? Well, all these guys we fought before have been scaled up to have more health, more damage, you name it, and new item varieties for the high rank section of armor. Further weapon upgrade paths. This section of the game is where you're gonna do most of the side quests because you're gonna need some good stats to keep up, especially later on. Now, what could we possibly need to do now? Zoro Magdaros is in the Blue Sea. Well, no Gigante is still on the run, right? So he must be the final boss. But for the next few missions, we need to conduct research. There's reports that something's in the Wildspire Waste that shouldn't be. And when setting out on an expedition there, we'll encounter the tracks of an Anjamfa, you know, the T-Rex guy from earlier, as well as a Puki. But even with the buffs, he's still pretty washed, and it doesn't take too long to kill that guy, even with the low level armor. But now here's the weird part. Instead of being able to go directly hunt the Rathian, we have to do some side quests to gather evidence from these tracks, so we can actually find and hunt it. This will probably take about 2 to 3 optional hunts, nothing too special. But what is special is this diabolical man right here. This guy utilizes the power of power bombs to absolutely ruin whatever fun you're having at any given time. He will randomly appear during a hunt and just dive bomb you and the other monster, as well as litter the area with improvised explosives, and overall is just a massive annoyance. So I ran away from him, but I promise you I will come back and eradicate its entire species out of spite and hate. I even asked my good friend why such a creature exists, and he simply responded, because you are having too much fun. Another cool monster I should mention is the Rathian. It's basically the Rathios, but green, and I love him. His armor's sick, and I mostly grinded his missions whilst I grinded out the Anjamfa tracks. It's much more poison centered than the Rathalos, and it has its own moveset relying on flying much less than the red counterpart, and best of all, where it spawns is surrounded by these little tribesmen who will throw bombs and paralyze it randomly. But they also do it to me sometimes. Only sometimes though. But I do have to do a quick genocide of their tribe. You know, teach them who's boss. Around halfway through discovering the tracks for the unique Rathian, we can start the Anjamfa hunt, in where it's the same enemy but in a different place. And then I killed him. I mean, I'm not gonna re-explain the same fight. And after this, it's another tracking section. Oh, more expeditions and side quests later, mostly Rathian killings.
Sup?
I also went online for the first time to try and speed things up, and I also replaced all the automated dialogue with Virgil quotes. You're welcome. But now I had gathered enough Rathian tracks to be able to embark on a new quest to the Coral Highlands. Remember this place? But we get an epic Action Man cutscene, and oh my god, they actually killed the handler. Yes, oh my god, thank you, game. Now we need to kill this mighty beast, a Rathian, but pink and bigger. And he actually low diffed me. Listen, I was using armor that was way under leveled and he would just 2-tap me. 3 lives was not enough, and I actually failed for the first time. I retreated to the outpost to figure out what I could do next, but as the great scholar Homer says, when God closes a door, he opens a window. A Zoro Magdaros quest had popped up for me in the optional section. And not only this, I looked at his armor and it wasn't just trippy, it was much higher level, and I was certain it would allow me to kill the pink Rathian. And so began the most boring grind I had partaken in yet. I had to play the exact same mission so many times. Bear in mind that this is the gameplay loop and it takes 30 minutes a pop to complete. I had to stop recording these missions to save space. It took me so long. I cannot understate how bored I was grinding this. In the end, it was so worth it. Look at this. The subtle off-white coloring. It even has a watermark. And using this badass upgrade, I slaughtered that pink Rathian using my mastery of the moveset from fighting so many beforehand, as well as my new armor. This Rathian actually has its own loot pool and armor set too, which is cool. A whole new race to be slaughtered, one might say. This video is definitely going to get taken down for these terms. I'm family friendly, guys. It's okay. They're not humans, so it's justified. Oh, and sadly, the handler survived the whole ordeal. And now we enter the end game, and I'm not misleading you this time. The Admiral is basically the big boss of the whole operation, and he comes down to tell us Nergigante has been sighted in the Elder's Recess, the final area of the game, and home to the biggest Rizzlers around. I'm not saying that. I'm not putting that. Home to the most depraved and insane of all monsters, and we have to scout it out to learn about the environment, and dare I say, the economy of this area. We can find Spinner, but with bombs. Fish, but with fire. This thing, I don't know, he's a ZSTR lizard, that's it. Oh, and guess what? We need to uncover Nergigante's tracks at least 2 times. Why is high rank just like this? Like, I get I need to grind, but please, Capcom, please. So I killed the killer fish from San Diego, amongst others. Blah, 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 blah. No Gigante down. The true and honest final boss. The infamously difficult boss, which I knew going in. I was gonna have to bring my A game if I wanted to succeed. His attacks are aggressive and he does huge amounts of damage. You can't lower your guard for a second or he will one-shot you. Not to mention he has a certain move that kind of sucks. That's right. The 20-minute boss fight has a one-shot move. Talk about an endurance test. But I had a secret weapon up my sleeve. The shock trap, designed to paralyze monsters when they step on. Oh, and he ignored it. Yeah, this guy killed me more times than I'd like to count. And frankly, he made me doubt my capability to beat this game at all. Because damn, he does not play around. Bear in mind the weapon I had was at the highest level it could be. And I had upgraded my armor to ensure I had as much defense as possible. Still wasn't enough. And that's when I actually made use of the full range of hunter items like demon drug potions. These bad boys give a damage buff, so I wouldn't have to fight as long. I could stun him easier. I used rations and meats to improve my stamina, and using these in combination with the Palico's healing and my own, I was just able to fend him off back into his lair. And let me tell you guys, little bro didn't know what hit him.
Prank him, John.
You already know.
Now I'm a little motivated. Cut off.
I'm out of here.
Oh my mama, y'all got me fucked up! God, command!
And now I am the god of Monster Hunter World. I spawned Deluxe Edition. Thank you, big boss. And with that, our story finally. What do you mean I have to collect 3 different tracks of monsters? What kind of cruel joke is this, man? What kind of sick joke is this? Well, I guess I might as well expedition into the forest again to get this over with. What? Oh my god. I do believe I just peed in my pantaloons, ladies and gentlemen. This guy has his own unique quest line. He too just randomly shows up to eat whatever you're chasing, like some of the other goons we talked about, but frankly, this guy's horrific to fight. I don't like him at all. Even when I went back after beating the game to do his quest, I still struggled. He's just that built differently. Anyway, after beating No Gigante, a whole new rarity has been unlocked. When I saw this, I literally had neuron activation, and it led to me grinding him relentlessly. Yes, the super difficult monster, until I had a full set of legendary gear, because I have a problem. But at least now I can stand a chance against these 3 mystery monsters we've been told to kill. These guys are the respective pinnacles of their bloodlines. We gotta take them down if we want this godforsaken, addictive game to end. And at this point, I'm convinced it never will. The first monster is Testra, a flame manticore. He does a lot of AoE damage and will sometimes just explode, doing insane damage, but knocking them out of flame mode for a while, so you can get real up close and personal and get some good damage in before he starts blowing everything up again. But since he lives in such a lava heavy zone, you have to make use of a new item, the cool drink. Ah yes, my thirst is quenched and I can now stand directly next to or on top of lava without dying. Thank you, Monster Hunter. Another thing I should mention is that these Archdragon enemies actually allow you to carve extra loot from them because of the difficulty. Usually, monsters only let you have 3 carves, but these guys, you can get an extra carve off, which makes grinding a little bit easier. Next up is... hold on. Yeah, I ain't saying all that. This guy's design is beautiful, and the fight itself, god do I hate it. He's a dragon of wind and ice, and it has a wide variety of moves. When you get close to it, it causes your character to stumble mid-attack. And as well as this, he's always flying around, which makes this fight, in my opinion, the most boring of the 3 new guys. But he's just so cool. But that's so stupid. Even his armor looks good, man. I just can't win with this guy. It's pretty badass how he can make hurricanes and use them as attacks, but I just found this whole fight to be pretty obnoxious. Not hard, mind you, just slow paced compared to normal. Rich considering each fight is like 30 minutes, but hey, I'm petty like that. But finally, we get to the last of the new Trinity, and perhaps my favorite of the bunch, Valhazak, the motherfucking evil skull dragon. His design is so awesome, and he does suck good when she's shucking your nuts, but you a gangster. Tell me this guy is he's not a Dark Souls monster. He looks like Gale if he became a Scaly. This guy also has an aura of damage and will drain your max HP, so you need to use a Mulberry to stop it. And additionally, this guy also has a literal air laser he will shoot at random, and I love it so much. I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, this guy's pretty annoying, but his design, the meat snake, oh, it's so good, especially since the arena is just full of the decaying lizards it's eaten. Not to mention, after you kill it and look at its armor, look at how opium this stuff is, man. This is peak drip. And you might have guessed that this isn't the end of the game. I'm not even going to try and trick you now. The gag is pretty dead. But we have one last mission to do, and I actually promise you this is the real final level of the game. We've unlocked every other hunter rank, so this is the final difficulty, the illustrious 9-star mission, the Land of Convergence. We need to investigate the very heart of the new world. We need to find out why all the monsters are so angry and why there's been such an influx of monsters in the overall area, or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, pretty nothing plot. But that one guy from JoJo is here.
Oh no!
The final boss. Perfect Chaos from Sonic Adventure. He's big and girthy, and naturally, so is his health pool.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Fireball! Fireball! Fireball!
Entering the second stage, we both fly upwards to the top of the cave. And this guy, he doesn't want to run away. He just wants straight hands. Take this L, little buddy. And with that, the monster is slain, the day is saved, the game's finally over, the game is over. And of course, there's a couple side quests left to complete, you know, armor, weapons to grind for, hunter rank to level, new weapon types to try. And oh my, is that Geralt and Dante from hit games Devil May Cry and The Witcher? Oh my god. This is the most game I've ever played. Wait, master rank? What do you mean there's a DLC as long as the main game? Dear god, this was the tutorial the whole time.